let me tell you about the worst airport experience I've ever had. Like, we were flying from Belgium to Georgia, as we normally do. We go Belgium, Georgia, Georgia, Belgium, back and forth. And we landed and did our little transfer over thing in Istanbul Airport. Now, let me tell you first about Istanbul Airport so you can understand what all was going on, okay? So, at Istanbul Airport, it's a huge airport, okay? And it's much better, I must say, it's a much better place to be flying into than Ataturk was, because Ataturk, it was always like crowded. There were people just sitting on the floor everywhere. There's these guys in towels walking around. I think the towel thing may have been a religious thing going on. I'm not sure, but like literally they're in towels everywhere. They still show up in Istanbul, but they're cool people. They seem to be nice. They got a towel thing. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, Istanbul Airport is huge. It's got seats for everybody. Nobody is sitting on the floor for the most part, and it is crowded all the time. But that's okay. It's a busy airport. There's still seats. You can still manage. You can find a cafe. You can sit down. You can do something. Okay. But it's huge. The place is massive. Like it's bigger than a shopping mall. It's bigger than most small villages in Europe. That's how big the place is. And that's just the central part. And they got concourses that go out in each direction, like a gigantic bicycle wheel or some sort of wheel with spokes. Bicycle wheel. Let's go with that. And this gigantic bicycle wheel. The concourses go off for like a couple kilometers. Okay, so when you land, you gotta really truck it to get to the center of the terminal, the airport, or the mall thing, because your connecting flight is most likely going to be on the other side. Okay, this is something I've learned about American airports that I kind of appreciate. When you fly United, you land in that airport, and the United thing is just one concourse over or something. Okay, with Turkish, we fly Turkish Airlines, but then you've got to cross over to the other side because it's more like geographically oriented. If you're flying to the east, you get over to the east. If you're flying to the west, get to the west. Which means you've got to cross that kilometer down. Then you've got to traverse this little town of a terminal. And then you got to get to the other kilometer arm. Okay, now the whole process is probably going to take you at least an hour. So make sure if you're booking through that, at least an hour and a half, because you have to remember boarding time. Okay, boarding time takes 30 minutes before the flight. So you need an hour and a half at least, minimum. Okay, now this is about, we had, I guess, 2 hours that I had scheduled for, and I thought that was going to be enough. Okay, we arrive, we get down to the end of the concourse, all the way to the terminal, but there's the playground. So my kid was like, hey, I want to go play. And we're like, well, okay, we got time. I look at the board, it says like an hour. Actually, no, this is the other thing about Istanbul Airport. When you look at the board, it always says, come back later to find wherever your flight is taking off. Okay, come back 45 minutes before the flight. Okay, here's the issue. If the concourse is 20 minutes, 30 minutes long to get down the concourse, the terminal is like 20, 30 minutes long to get through the terminal. And then the other concourse. How are you going to manage that trip exactly when they announce it? Now, people do, because the trick is to just haul your butt to the center and then just wait there. You can't spend time in the concourses. Now, if you got a little kid and he runs off to the playground, you're spending time in the concourse. Okay, that's fair, whatever. And he's playing. I'm thinking I got 2 hours, because when this thing finally shows up, the time, it says, well, you got an hour to get there. An hour, it says on the thing. It doesn't say an hour until takeoff. It doesn't say an hour until boarding. You just have to know which one it is. And let me tell you, it's until boarding. Of course, it's like that everywhere in the world. That's not a big surprise. But when you are on a flight that went off at like 4 a.m. and you're getting there and you're like, I don't know what time it is. And your clock hasn't updated because, even in Goofy Land, your clock doesn't know what time it is. Your watch doesn't know because it hasn't updated. Your network is off, so your phone doesn't know what time it is. You have no what time it is. You keep thinking it's one of these must be correct and they must have updated it once it got a connection, but no, maybe, who knows. Okay, so you're thinking you have this schedule down, but you don't. And then you're looking at that, and it's actually until takeoff. It's not till boarding. And then your kid is off playing. And then when you're like, maybe we should get moving over there, because they finally flash it up, and then boom, and you're like, it's not a hurry, but I got to get over there. We got to get over there. So we collect the wife, the kid. We traverse the dang terminal, the city. We get to the next concourse, and guess what? There's another playground. The kid goes running off to play. I look at the time. I'm like, well, okay, we still got 45 minutes, okay? And I'm thinking that's fine. So my wife goes off to a shop, and I'm looking around, and finally I realize maybe that's not until takeoff. Maybe that's until boarding. We should go check. Okay, so I get the son who's already, I don't want to stop playing, and then my wife who's shopping, and then I don't want to stop shopping, and then we got to get over there to the concourse, and then there's the gate. Okay, but the gate is quiet. It's dark. It's nothing going on there. And I look out, and there's a plane, but the gate is closed. And I look at the clock, it still says 10 minutes. 10 minutes till takeoff. That's when I realized really what is going on. 10 minutes till takeoff. This time, why do they post until takeoff? This time is completely irrelevant to the traveler in the airport. When I'm in the airport, I want to know when I have to be there to board, not when I have to be there to take off and already be boarded, and that it doesn't make sense. This is an irrelevant time. Give me the time until boarding. Obviously, I can just do it in my head, -30, but when you're traveling and exhausted, it's not always the easiest thing to do, right? Like math is, it's not hard math, but again, when you're not really sure on the time because you're traveling time zones to different time zones, and you're tired, and it's just, you'd think the airport would just make things as simple and convenient as possible. But nope, that's not what happens. So we get there, and it's all dark. Nothing's going on. Finally, a stewardess walks out, and we're like, hey, can we get on the plane? Like, we still have 10 minutes. And she's like, yes, 10 minutes till takeoff. I'm like, well, can we get on the plane? No, already boarded. You're supposed to be here at boarding. Go talk to customer service. And I'm like, well, can we just get on? Yes, go talk to customer service. Maybe no problem. I'm like, where's customer service? At the other end of the concourse. And I'm like, wait, you said 10 minutes until takeoff. You guys are going to already be taken off by the time we even get to the customer service. Why don't you just let us on the plane? Oh, yes, go talk to customer service. So we go to customer service. And the whole time I'm thinking, okay, how do I explain? Like, I already know we missed the flight. Okay, she's not going to let us on. Customer service ain't going to let us on. That plane is already going to be halfway to friggin' Batumi, which is where we're flying to. And I'm wondering, well, what do I tell the customer service? This is like, we could have physically made it, yes. Okay, but anybody who's traveled with a toddler knows that, everything gets a little complicated. Life becomes complicated. And on top of that, the already weird situation of the airport. I may have been late anyway without a toddler. I'm just blaming my toddler. And I'm thinking in my head, how do I blame my toddler? Because maybe we can get away with this. But we get up there, and he's like, well, why are you late? And I'm like, well, and I just blank. Just like a deer in headlight. I'm just staring at him. Why are we late? I don't know. Shrug. We're just late. Like, I wouldn't be here otherwise. We just missed the flight. I don't know what happened. And he's like, well, you're going to have to pay for a new one. Now I'm thinking the flight from Istanbul to Batumi, that can't be more than like $200. Okay, that's how much it is actually, $200. And so I'm like, okay, tell me how much it is. And he's like, well, it's $900. And I'm like, what? $900? Like, to get from Istanbul to Batumi? Yeah, okay, that's crazy, and completely crazy talk. I'm just gonna collect my luggage. We'll just get a bus. Okay, a bus is gonna be 50 euros each, so it's gonna be 150. maybe to get a taxi to the bus station is going to be another $50. That's $200 versus $900. Okay, I'm good. And he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. If we give you your bags, then we're going to have to cancel your whole flight, your return flight too. And then you're going to have to rebook, which is going to be a lot more because you're going to be rebooking last minute too. And that's going to be both legs. And I'm like, whoa, what are you saying? He's like, well, I'm saying you got to rebook because it's going to be a lot more money. And then I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, man, come on, what are you doing? Just let us go. Why are you charging us such a huge thing? And he says, every moment you wait, we're going to up the price. That price could go up. And I'm like, come on, man, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, it's going to be $1,100. And I'm like, what the? And then he's like, it's $1,200. And then I'm like, what are we at the bazaar? Like, is this a negotiation? Is it an auction? And am I auctioning for my friggin' plane ride home? Like, and so I stopped him at $1,200. And I'm like, look, screw yourself. And then, so I just felt like I had a gut punch into my stomach, and I just storm off, tell my wife, look, you deal with this. I'm not happy for that. Like, I overreacted, and then I ended up just sitting on the floor, just like $1,200 because of what? Like, because like I can't even explain what happened. Like, what? How am I don't have this money, and I'm sitting there. I'm trying to calm down, but a migraine's coming on. My kid's like, what's going on? And like, there are always moments when you're a parent that you just feel completely ashamed about how you act in front of your kid. And that's like one of those moments. And I hope he's just kind of like forgotten about that. But who knows? Like, we all have those shameful moments. Do you have any shameful moments? Drop them down in the comments. But that's not where the action ends. So we make the rebooking. Okay, now we go to eat. Obviously, we need dinner because Batumi flight, the next one is at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're there at 7 in the evening at the airport. So we got to stay overnight. Okay, so we need food. So we go to get the fast food. The fast food is another like $60. But luckily I found an Arby's, which was really weird. Like, why is there an Arby's in the airport in Istanbul? I've never seen an Arby's in Europe, for that matter, nor in Asia. Yet at the Istanbul airport, there's an Arby's. Like, what kind of weird franchising went on that happened there? It was some Turkish guy was like, man, he was like living in the U.S. and he's like, I really love Arby's. I'm gonna bring one to our airport. Like, are there more Arby's in Istanbul? I don't even know. I've never seen an Arby's in Istanbul. I've never seen one in Turkey. I've never seen one anywhere outside of the United States but the Istanbul airport, and previously in Sabiha Gökçen airport. But now does anything fly out of Sabiha Gökçen? I don't know. Maybe they're in both airports. I think Pegasus still flies out of Sabiha Gökçen. Anyways, which that is another nightmare story, but not for today. Anyways, so we have to pay like $60 for like 3 menus for Arby's, and then I'm looking at my credit card info, and it's like free entry into a lounge. And then why don't we check this out, because we got friggin' 8 more hours to the next flight. And we go there, and they let us in, and it's pretty cool, man. They got a huge buffet, all you can eat buffet, all you can drink bar. So I decided to live it up. Why not, man? It's great. And my kid gets comfortable, passes out, pees in his pants. And this is why in my upcoming book, Facetious Guide to Traveling with a Kid, I advise always bring a pair, like an extra pair of clothes when you're traveling across, like through on a plane, because you never know what's going to happen. Like, so bring an extra pair, maybe 2 pairs, underwear, pants, shirt for the kid, because that can happen. Now, luckily, we were at a place with a massive shopping mall. That is a massive shopping mall. So we could go get some clothes, some weirdly cheap clothes. It was like $10 for a Spider-Man pajamas that we were able to slap on him. Of course, I go down and then I'm buying the pajamas, and they're like, oh, you need your passport. And I left like my passport upstairs with my wife, because why take around a passport? And I'm like, come on. Why do you need my passport? And why do you need my ticket? I'm in the airport already. Obviously, I'm here legally. I'm not going to sneak into the airport so I could buy some overpriced crap that I could have bought like still half that price if I were in the actual town. Why do you need this stuff? But no, can't sell it to you without that. So I'm like shouting to my wife, toss down the passport. She tosses it down, hand it over, get the clothes. Okay. The rest of the trip, well, they only allow 3 hours at that place, so we have to move downstairs, find a couch. Luckily, when you're like 3 in the morning, they got couches everywhere that are pretty open, and you just lay down and get comfortable. Sleep for a few hours. My kid finally had a good sleep. He was a star, man. He did so good on that trip. I was worried about him, and I'm the one that was freaking out. Like, I'm the one making like a baby throwing a tantrum about $1,200. Well, I mean, to be fair, it's $1,200. That's a lot of money. We get back to Georgia finally, land in Batumi. Batumi is not a bad airport. It's small, really small, but that's kind of cool because it's easy to get in, easy to get out, no problems. But yeah, so that's my worst airport experience. What's yours? Now, if you're new here, my name is Sean Basie. Click subscribe down below. If you want a heads up about my upcoming book, click on the newsletter button down below, or you can click on the written version of this, which is a blog, and it's a little bit different because I include different details when I talk. I'm not reading or anything. So click on that. And then, if you sign up for the newsletter, you also get a packing list, which includes one extra pair of clothes, a mention of one extra pair of clothes. So get that packing list. Don't make the same mistake I did, and see you next week. Have a good one. Ciao.